fool, Potter! You should never interfered in my affairs, cried Snape, staring at the boy who was his godson in outrage. I don't care. You shouldn't have done it, Sev. You should never took his life. Potter, I had no choice, he said with a sad smile on his face. It was either me or the curse. What would you have done, boy? Harry didn't care in that moment, though. I don't care. I'll avenge him, cried Harry. Expelliarmus! 3 months earlier. Harry was constantly wondering what Snape was up to. These last few weeks, he'd been very abrasive towards Harry, and he'd seen Snape going around, constantly hailing, at all people, Ronald Weasley. Harry was confused and explained this to Hermione. She had no clue why Snape was following Ron either. They trailed him under the invisibility cloak and overheard him and Ron speaking one night. What do you think you're doing, Weasley? You're ruining the entire plan, cried Snape to Ron. Ron glared back in outrage. I know what I'm doing, Severus. Back off if you know what's good for you. Unfortunately, though, unlike Draco, Ron could not block Snape from seeing his faults. You are screwing the entire plan up, Weasley. And you know what's at stake if you fail, don't you? What the Dark Lord will do? I know, said Ron somberly. He will kill my entire family. Harry was surprised to hear this. On the one hand, he didn't like Ron anymore, no, but he never wanted his entire family to be killed for his insubordination. No, Harry actually enjoyed the rest of Ron's family. The Weasley twins, Fred and George, Ginny, Mr. and Mrs. Weasley. He enjoyed them and never wanted them to be killed. But he just couldn't understand what Ron was doing at this point. Why was he still going on being part of the dark side? But Harry and Hermione also were confused. They did not realise that Ron, out of all this, had become a Death Eater. Ron! No, surely out of all people. I know. I can't either, said Harry. Let me help you, Weasley. No, said Ron, and he instantly ran away, not allowing Snape to continue the conversation any further. At that moment, Harry and Hermione removed the invisibility cloak and allowed Snape to know their presence. Potter, what are you doing here? He said, rolling his eyes yet again at seeing the couple. What are you doing, Sev? And what was that all about? You and Ron. Fine, boy. Sit down, both of you, and I'll tell you the entire story. He then went on to state that he made a promise to Draco's mother to keep both him and Ron safe. I wasn't sure at the time who had been made to do the deal, boy. I now know that it was Weasley. He's been ordered by the Dark Lord to kill the headmaster, you know. But surely Ron. No, he can't do it. He doesn't have the guts to do that. But the motivation is there, dear. Can't you see it? Said Hermione. Indeed, said Snape. If he fails, his entire family will be killed by the Dark Lord for his insubordination and stupidity. If he fails. And if he does fail, said Harry, who will be tasked to kill Dumbledore then, Sev? Snape then gave a small smile. That would be me, Potter. If Weasley fails, the Dark Lord expects me to do the job. Do you think you can do it, Sev? Can you harm his soul? Can you understand, Potter, what I have to do? If I don't do it, who will? That curse will kill him. The Dark Lord would have killed him at that point. If I do it, Potter, it will be... But it's wrong, Sev. But it will give him a bit of mercy, Harry. Can't you understand that, at least? Harry simply shook his head and put the invisibility cloak back on Hermione. The couple then walked back to Gryffindor Tower, talking about what they had heard from Snape and his conversation with Ron. I don't get it, said Hermione. Why is Ron doing this? Surely he can see this is all wrong. Harry simply didn't speak to her about this anymore. They knew that the conversation was over, and there was nothing they could do to either persuade Ron to return to them, or convince Snape what he was doing was wrong. They then spoke again about getting on with their homework, but Harry simply brushed this aside yet again. Hermione, Harry, she said in that tensing tone, he said, whenever they were getting into an argument. You need to do it, dear. I told you no, said Harry. For me, there's no point. I have no future with this. What's the point of me doing all this homework and studying? I can't do anything with it. But it will give you a... I have no future, Hermione. Harry Potter, I swear to God, you are so insufferable sometimes. She glared at him. And then she walked up to her dorm to go to bed. She didn't want to put up with him anymore. But in her anger and frustration, as she went up, she turned and said, Harry, I can't understand you anymore. I hate you, she simply said, and walked back up to the girls' dorm. Harry blinked twice. Was this an impasse in their relationship? Was there fracture at hand? No. He brushed this off. Surely he and Hermione were in sync all the time. Surely they loved each other no matter what. He couldn't believe that Hermione would say that she hated him. He simply shook this off and went to bed himself. A few days then passed, and he and Hermione weren't speaking to each other. Harry could tell that this was bad. But he simply just went on with his days at Hogwarts. Weeks passed, and Harry then found himself with Dumbledore in a lake, finding one of Voldemort's Horcruxes. It had been a locket. They managed to get it, but Dumbledore was really weak. From a poison he'd been forced to drink in order to get the locket. The two then apparated back to Hogwarts, and Harry had to help the headmaster up onto his feet. He was struggling at all, after taking the potion, of course. Harry then opened the locket and found that it had been a fake. It turned out that it had been replaced with the real one. Someone named R.A.B. No clue who that was. But his point of view was completely changed at this point by seeing in the distance at Hogwarts that the Dark Ark was over the school. Harry and Dumbledore then separated back to Hogwarts, and they could tell things were bad. Harry saw that the Death Eaters had invaded Hogwarts, and yet again the Dark Ark was above the school. Harry's mind completely went into overdrive at this point. He was thinking of one thing. Hermione. Where was she? Where was Hermione? Was she still alive? Had she been... No. Harry couldn't think of that. She couldn't think that he was... He couldn't think that she was dead. No. He refused to believe that. Harry and Dumbledore had apparated, it seemed, to the top of the astronomy tower, but Harry could tell that Dumbledore was in no shape to move. He was coughing and spluttering all over the place, barely able to stand, it seemed. Harry, fetch Professor Snape. I need Severus. Harry was about to leave and go for Snape, but then, all of a sudden, out of the door to the astronomy tower, arrived Ron. Expelliarmus! He cried, and Harry's wand fell to the ground. Potter, what are you doing here? You weren't a part of this. Harry simply grabbed his wand again and stared at Ron. Ron, why are you doing this? I don't want to hurt you. No, I won't hurt you. Harry was trembling in fear. He couldn't harm Ron. No, even though he hated him. A part of him still wanted to think that maybe they could all be friends again. Maybe. He just couldn't do it. Stand down, Potter, said Ron. You're no match for me. You can't win. You can't even defend him. Now, decide whilst I do the job I've been given to do, Potter. Or should you face the same fate as your nut-blood girlfriend? Harry was scared to think what that meant. He just couldn't do anything to Ron. Expelliarmus, he cried again, causing Harry to fall to the ground. His wand fell out of his hand. And then he cried again, Patipus Totalis, causing Harry's entire body to be bounded. Don't kill him, said Harry on the ground. Enough, boy, said Ron. Silencio. And Harry was finally tied up, silent, not able to speak or move. Ron then continued to point his wand at Dumbledore. And now, he said, it's time to do the job I've been given to do. What? Calmly, there was nothing to him. You better get on with it, shouldn't you, boy? Yes, I've come to kill you. You don't understand. I have to kill you. Or, he said he'd kill my entire family, cried Ron, in a slight bit of fear. You don't have to do this, Ronald. You won't kill me. No, I will, said Ron, confidently this time. No, if you were going to, you would have done it by now. You wouldn't have disarmed Harry at all. No, I still have the power to do it. I'm armed, and you're defenseless. At my mercy. No, Ron, this is my mercy. I can protect your family, you know, and you. You don't have to do this, Ronald. He hesitated that moment. However, before he could change his mind, Death Eaters entered, Bellatrix and Greyback. Ho ho! Excellent work, Weasley. I didn't think you had it in you, said Bellatrix in a glee and malice towards Dumbledore. Go on, boy, get on with it already, growled Greyback in his growling voice. He was about to do it, but then Snape entered. Go on, Ronald, get on with it already, he cried. Ron then ran out of the room. Before he did so, though, he allowed Harry to be free of his enchantments. Foolish boy! Boy! Cried Snape, as Ron was leaving. He then placed his own wand at Dumbledore. No! Cried Harry. Don't do it, sir! But Snape was ignoring Harry's pleas. He stared at Dumbledore, deep in the face. You foolish old man. You should have never put on that ring, he said in silence. Severus, please, please, he said, looking as if he'd been pleading to spare his life. Snape then simply cried as if it was nothing to him. Avada Kedavra, he said, and the green light pierced into Dumbledore's chest, causing him to fall like a sculpture, nothing but paper air, off the astronomy tower and onto the grounds of Hogwarts below. We must leave now, said Snape to the other Death Eaters, before the Ministry finds out what has happened. Go, he said, and they ran away. Harry on their tail, though. He did not leave. He did not let Snape escape. Whilst he was fleeing against them, he found Hermione. Harry, there you are. She was worried. She thought she'd never see him again, and that the last words that she had told him were that she had hated him. Harry, what's going on? Snape, he said. We have to get... He's killed Dumbledore. Hermione was confused, though. They knew he was going to do that, but yet Harry was still outraged. He then found himself chasing Snape, who had tried to tell Potter to go away, but he would not listen. Foolish boy! He turned around and faced Harry. Why are you doing this, boy? You know what I did. You know why I did it for. I had no choice, boy. You should have never meddled in my affairs. I don't care, said Harry defiantly, pointing out his wand. I will avenge him. Foolish boy, you're nothing more than your father's spawn, he cried, and in that moment, between the duel, nothing was said. They were both doing their spells non-verbally, their knives both not breaking. Neither could read each other's thoughts. Harry then, in a moment, Snape hesitated, seeing his godson in the face that he was fighting against. Harry cried, "Expelliarmus!" and Snape's wand flew out of his hand. "Foolish boy!" cried Snape. "You'll regret this!" he said as he fled from Hogwarts. As Hermione placed her arms around Harry, Snape's wand flew away. Was it back to his master, he thought? He wasn't sure, but in that moment, a funeral was then held for Dumbledore, and Harry simply, throughout all of it, sat in silence next to Hermione, the couple holding hands the entire time. He then realised in that moment what he had to do and what he had to say to Hermione. He turned to her and said, "Hermione, I don't think we can be together anymore." In that moment, Hermione burst into tears and pleaded with him. "No, don't say that, Harry. It's because of all this. Because Dumbledore is dead. Because of Snape and Voldemort. Well, I don't care. I love you. I love you more than anything in the world, Harry Potter." "I know," said Harry, "and that's why I can't be with you. What if this was you? What if it happens to you? And it's your funeral I'll have to see. I don't want that, Hermione." "But I won't let you go into the world, Harry. Alone. No! I won't allow you to go hunting Horcruxes on your own. I'm coming with you, whether you like it or not." "Well, then what if I had a promise for you then?" "Huh? What do you mean, Harry dear? A promise? To know that we were together forever?" Harry nodded. In that moment, no words were spoken. Harry simply pulled out his wand and conjured a ring. Hermione then was silent. In that moment, for once, she could not read Harry's mind. "Hermione, I love you more than anything in the world," he said. "I don't want to be with anyone other than you. Hermione, will you marry me?" Hermione then gave a smile and burst into tears of joy as she held her hands around Harry's neck. "Yes, Harry, yes, I will," she said as Harry placed the ring on her finger, and they embraced with a passionate kiss. As they departed from each other, Harry swore that out of the corner of his eye, he could see Professor McGonagall crying. At least, Potter, something good has come out of this," she said, bursting into tears of joy herself. "Congratulations to the two of you." And Harry in that moment knew, as he held hands with Hermione and stared into her face, that they would always have each other, and they would be able to do it together. There was nothing they couldn't do together. No, they would go out into the world and destroy his Horcruxes. They would defeat Voldemort once and for all.